This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, miniatures, and paints. Discount prices at miniaturemarket.com. Hey everybody, welcome to another Paint with Rob. Well, today, the game at Miniature Market came out, Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea. So I've had it since, Origins of last year. But I've waited until it came out and everybody had it. So today, we are going to start painting the humans. So we're going to do a 4-part series. We're going to show you how to paint everything, mostly the main figures. This kit here I actually bought is the deluxe edition, which was supposed to be completely painted, I thought, but all they painted was the heroes. And I'll show you how to touch those up, and I'll show those at a later date. But I'm going to show you the peasants and the knights, because you get so many of those, and then I'm going to move on to the next factions and the next factions and the next factions until I show you how to paint the entire series, and a nice, easy, quick way to get it and get a great result. So when you put these on the table, they really stand out and enhance your game, hopefully. So without further ado, let's go down to the table and get started. Now, as you can see here, we have Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea. Yes. I went blank there for a minute. Now, we're going to start with the human faction here. And as you can see, I primed the Knight white because we're going to have more brighter colors that we're going to have to work with him. And the Peasant, we primed him in a black because we're going to be putting browns and things like that and working that into the system here. So I'm going to show you how to do these two guys, because these are the most guys that you're going to see out of the human faction. So we're going to break it down into factions. So we're going to concentrate on these two guys, and then we'll move on to another faction and another faction and another faction, and show you the easiest way to get these guys painted. So without further ado, why don't we get started and get this all done so you guys know how to do this. Now, the first thing we're going to want to do is we are going to want to use some XV88. I always like this color because it's really kind of a dullish type of brown, and what it does is it just fits perfectly for what we're trying to attempt here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work this as his pants, and I think that works the best. Now, don't worry about getting on the boots or dropping the figure like I just did. All you want to do is just get yourself a nice coat of this on here and underneath. And we're not worried about messing anything up because we're going to paint over all that area. The other thing that you could do here is you could paint this satchel that same color just to break up the browns a bit. So usually that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to paint this satchel the same thing because we're gonna put a wash over it, and it's going to really bring things out. So I'm going to finish this up, and then we're going to come right back and we'll show you exactly what we're going to do next. Now, the hardest part about this figure is because you have it black, I'm going to take some Averland Sunset, and what I want to do is I want to get that overcoat of his, or shirt basically, and it's going to take a few coats. Now, as you can see, I already kind of started putting one coat on here, and it's not going to look very good to begin with, and you just kind of got to bear with it and not panic, because we don't expect this to look very good until we start highlighting, because that's where it's all going to come together. And you just want to take your time, and it's going to probably take a few coats, but that's okay. As you can see, it doesn't look good going on the first coat, but that's okay also. You want to work in here a little bit, and you want to make sure that you kind of try to get as much of that shirt as you can, because that is going to be a very big selling point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a couple of coats on here. As you can see, I got it nice and watered down, so it goes on nice and thin, so we don't lose any of the detail. And all we want to do is just kind of work it in there. We're not worried about hitting anything else. It's going to take a couple coats, and it's going to be a little frustrating. But the best thing about it is you're going to be, you know, I think you got like 10 or 15 or 20 of these. You're going to go through and you're going to machine them. So you're going to put all the shirts on one coat. And then when you're going to come back, you're going to do another coat. And then by then they'll all be dry, and you'll just keep working at the different sections that I'm going to show you here. And that's how you're going to get through all this. Okay, I accidentally ran the camera, but you missed me putting the flesh in. All it is Kesla flesh. You're just going to hit all the flesh areas, his arms and so forth and so on. You see we got that in there. The next thing we want to do is we want to take a Morfang brown, which is a nice dark brown. And yeah, you got it. You got it. We're going to we're going to get this pitchfork ready. Because, you know, if he's going to fight, he's got to have a pitchfork. And we're going to go around the belt area too. We're going to do the boots. As you can see here, see, that's going to, remember I told you not to worry about as far as getting any extra paint where it didn't belong. So all we're going to do is we're going to work that right in there. And we're going to get his boots all set. We're going to get his belt line set. I'm going to finish this up, and then we're going to come back. Now, right now, we're going to take some lead belcher, and what we're going to do is, yeah, you guessed it, it's pitchfork time. So we want to get that pitchfork in there, and we want to get some color into that. As you can see, just keeping it nice and simple right now. And just getting our base colors. That's all we're trying to do. Get our base colors in there. All right. We're going to let that dry, and then we'll come back. Okay, the next thing we're going to do here, just to save a little time, I already started it, is we're going to take some Nuln Forest. And that's kind of like a light green. But in the picture, it looks like he has a nice little light green satchel. So all I'm going to do here, and we're going to bring him up so we don't fade him out, is we are going to put a couple coats of this on here because it's going to be a little tough to go over the black, but that's okay because it's easier to just go over with nice light coats and really bring that out. So all I'm doing is just kind of, he's got a little patch here, so I'm kind of tickling that patch a little bit with a little Nuln Forest. And then we want to make sure that we get the satchel real good. And then when we come back, guess what? We are going to highlight this guy. And it's going to be time to darken him up and bring him back out and all those other fun things that we like to do to really make the model look good. So we'll be back. Okay, now we're just going to take some Agrath Earthshade, and this is where we're really going to try to bring this guy out a bit. And all we're going to do is, I'm using a smaller brush, and I'm really just taking the wash and really being, I'm making sure that I control the wash, meaning that I'm not making sure that it pulls up anywhere, like around his neck there, but I want to take it and I want to move it, and I want to move it around enough where it really just kind of, it gives that extra dimension. See how that it goes into his clothing now, and it works. And we can go over this pitchfork, and we want to go over his pants, and I want to turn it around, and I really want to get that satchel. I want to get the backpack. I want to get his flesh. I want to make sure that I get all those areas so they all stand out perfectly, and that's all I want to do. And I'm just going to work this in here. I'm working into his pants, into his boots a little bit. We're going to come up the other side of this pitchfork. This pitchfork we can add another wash to. I think a new oil would work well there. And then we're just going to come back over, and we want to really dig out the highlights here. All right. Now, I know you got like 20 of these and so forth and so on, but just a little bit of wash. I mean, they don't have to look perfect. There's not a ton of detail to these guys, but there's enough where if you take your time, you can really dig it out. And I think that's the most important thing. And you can see where it's all working into his face. I want to pull that away from his neck, work it down into his shirt there. There we go. And there we go. So now what we're going to do is we're going to let that dry. And then we'll come back and we'll just very quickly put a couple of highlights on it, bring this out a little bit, and then, you mow through all 20 of these, and believe me, you're off and ready to start playing the game. Just make sure that, you take your time moving the wash around. And you'll see how this ends up. We almost got our peasant where we want to. We're going to take some Gamelyn Sunset, what we originally painted over our man here. And all we want to do is just take and go over a little bit lightly over some of these areas. And not too heavy, but we just kind of want to make it to stand out a little bit. After all, I know he's dirty, but we don't have to have the dirtiest of peasants, right? And you just kind of want to just highlight, and you don't want to take away all the things that the wash created. But what you want to do is really just have that color kind of sit up a little bit. And take your brush and really work it in there. And pretty much, it's as easy as that. You got yourself a peasant, which is just perfectly fine for what you want to do and what you want to put on in the game. So, let's finish up our night. Now, I know this isn't going to look like much on the fly here, but sometimes you got to make a decision. And I decided to take some Calendar Sky. Even though the picture's a little bit different, I wanted to do the cloak in that, and I want to try to save this white because I want to try to stay as true to the picture, but I kind of wanted to vary away from it. I'm going to use some gray here, and I decided to just kind of test it on one of the figures. Now remember, when you're painting this, you're going to go through this pretty good. So Mechanicus Standard Gray is going to be the in-between here, and then we're going to kind of try to work everything with some golds and some armor and really make that shine. So just bear with me. It doesn't look like much right now, but you'll see as we get going here how it's all going to come together, hopefully. Now we want to kind of start working on some of our metallics, but most of all we want to work on the shield. And I'm taking, it's called a Candor Blue. I hope it doesn't lose focus here. But again, I'm trying to learn the new camera. And all I want to do is I want to get a nice coat in here. I'm not worried about hitting too much. I'm not worried about hitting the upper area here. All I want to do, I'm trying not to hit that crown as much as I can. I'm trying to keep it within the lines. But I know that's just not going to happen right away, because we're going to outline this whole thing and you're going to see how we're going to go about doing it. And all I want to do is get in between here, because that's going to help us a bit and a little bit, and we're just going to keep going. So I'm going to fill this in as much as I can, and then we're going to come back. Next here, it's Retribution armor. I mean, it's as simple as it can get. You like to take some of that Retribution armor, and what you're going to do, if you already noticed, I went over the boots because I saw in the picture the boots were gold, so I kind of went with that, and forgive my causing the unfocus, but all you're going to want to do here, and you're just trying to be as close as you can, because you're going to have to touch this up. A wash is really going to sell this. I mean, right now this looks like garbage to me, but I'm telling you right now, if you just stick with me, you'll see where it all kind of comes together. I actually made a little mistake right in there, but I can fix that soon enough, and I'm going to fix a few other things here. I want to make sure I get the other side there. I'm going to finish this up, and then when we come back, you'll see exactly how this is going to really start to come together as we start to add some lead belcher in there and breaking up some of this monotonous feel to it and washed out feel. So we'll be back. I'm going to finish up the lead belcher, and then we'll come right back and we're going to show you how we're going to tie this all together. All right, next we want to take some Morphine brown, there we go, and we just want to do the saber here, and I want to do his belt as well. All right, so I'm really trying to be very careful with this, not to mess it all up. White is such a hard color to paint over, by the way. You know, everybody thinks, oh, well, black, because you can't bring out the color. No, black is so much easier to work out because you almost wash out the color with white sometimes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish this up, and then we're going to come right back, and I'm going to show you how we're going to get this all together. First of all, next color we're going to be putting in there is our lead belcher. So that's a very important paint that we're going to put in here. So like I said, it doesn't look like anything, but just give me some time here and we will show you how we're going to make this shine. And the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to put in some lead belcher, and this is where it's going to start to really kind of shine here a little bit, because we're really going to bring this helmet out. I already did the sword just to save time, and I'm just showing you that you got to go over, especially over white. You know, you almost wish that you kind of prime this black, but I wanted to really have that try to take some of the painting out by leaving the white and not having to paint black over white. And so it was a tough choice, but it's one I had to make. So now we're just getting this helmet all squared away. I'm going to finish up touching up some things here, and then what we're going to do is we're going to come back and I'm going to show you, because we're going to start building this character right out. Now with the knight here, we want to take some Agrath Earthshade, just like we did with you saw the Peasant towards the end there. But we want to be careful here. I want to go over the as you can see, I just kind of want to go over this area here, but I don't want to touch the white. No. And you're probably saying, why, Rob? That white doesn't look right. Don't worry. We're just going to hit the gold areas, and we're going to go over some of the blue. But the whole point is just to kind of try to avoid hitting the white at all, and you got to be very controlled. You can go over the blue and so forth and so on, which that's exactly what I plan on doing here, and just getting a nice amount here, because that's going to bring out some of those shadows I want to bring out. And you're going to see how we're going to lighten this very quickly, and I want to make sure that I get the gold here, because that's really important, because that's really going to, the Agrath Earthshade is really going to help that sit up. But I do not want to hit that white whatsoever. I can go over the brown here a little bit. I want to get in the boots. I want to be very, very, very careful. Now if I get it on here, don't worry about it. There's a way to get around it. There's no doubt about that. There's a way to get around everything, trust me. And we see how that starts to sit in there and darken up that. That's exactly what I want to do. And I want to come in here a little bit. But I don't have to come in here as much as you think I do. Alright, we're going to work that into there a little bit. Oh, his grass is coming up a little bit. See, I just got to be a little careful. And I want to make sure I'm very careful where it pools. Alright, and I want to get underneath there very carefully. Alright, now we're going to just let that sit for a little bit, and then we're going to come back with another different color wash and go over that. Alright, this is where business picks up a little bit, and we got to be very controlled about this, because right now we're going to take some Nuln oil. Now you guys all have seen me use it before, and we're just going to go over this metallic stuff, and we are going to work this, that's right, into all the white areas. Now look what that's doing right there. All right, going over the belt. That's giving, what do we call that? We call that depth. Exactly. And that's what we want. And we're going to go over the weapon here. Now we can go over some of these other areas and not worry too much about it. Like I want to get some in there. And I want to work a little right around there. I want to definitely get it in between here and really work it in here, because that is going to give me the shadows that I'm looking for. Okay, now all of a sudden this knight has depth. And what do I always tell you all the time? It's not so much the paint job that you do as much as the illusion you can create. Alright, and that's all we're trying to do. We're really just trying to get these guys to really sit up a bit. And right in the back there, I really want that to really kind of darken up. And now all of a sudden, our man here has, yep, you got it. He's got that depth that we were looking for. And we want to get that in there. You can even go over that if you wanted to. If you were feeling froggy enough, you know. And just making sure that we get underneath. So if anybody ever picks it up and looks underneath and go, oh, whoa, where's all that area that you were working on? And work it around. And boom. It doesn't have to be so thick on there, but really want that knight to kind of sit up like you see right there. All right, and I think that looks pretty good. So I'm gonna let that dry, and we're gonna come back. We're gonna do a couple things to kind of lighten up the mood a little bit, and give it a little bit more shine. But we'll be back to do that, and as soon as it dries, which will take probably about 30 minutes. So you want to make sure that you do all your miniatures. So what I got here is I have some racked white, and all I want to do is I'm taking a lot of it off of my brush, but just leaving enough on. And all I want to do is kind of just easy hit the real high spots, but I want to hit this so lightly because I don't want to lose all that detail I just put in there with that wash. And I'm going to come around the edge here, and then I want to come especially right in here. I really want, that's going to really help me sell this model, is by just working it in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish this up, and then we'll come back with our final two dry brushes that we want to do to really make this guy come stand out. Next thing we want to do is we want to take some Hoth blue, okay, however you want to say it. And what we're going to do is we're going to just take this, and we're going to, I already started this, but all I want to do is just very lightly kind of work it in there. Work it along the chest here, around the neck, easy, and then come back into here. Now all of a sudden this has a little bit of depth. And that's all we're looking for, is to bring out a little bit of depth. Not death. Well, that might happen too. And that's what's going to help us really bring this out. And that's all we're trying to do. All right, we've got two more dry brushes to do on this guy, and he's going to be right where we want to do. So let's get right to them, and I'm going to show you what's next. All right, you guys see me use it a million times. Necron Compound, one of my favorite dry brush dries. It just goes over so well, especially after I darken everything up. And all I want to do is just lightly bring some life to this metal. And especially right here, his head. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Now all of a sudden we have that nice metallic look. See how that could just sells that helmet. Now all of a sudden he's looking a little fierce. Not looking as nasty as I had him. And we're starting to get something out of him now. I want to do the other side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish up this area, and then we're going to come back and we're going to come with our final wash. So stay tuned. All right, now we're going to take some Sigmarite. And what that is just another dry that's goes over the gold, and it really helps the gold stand out. And if you look here, look at that. Look how it starts to, oh, there we go. It just comes in there and it really makes it stand up. You want to hit the edge of the shield here. You want to hit their boots a little bit. You want to hit the edge of the sword. And like I said, I'm probably overdoing it. I mean, these guys are going to die horribly anyways, right? Depending on who they're fighting or who you're for. And we're just going to come over here and we're just going to bring that metal, that metallic feel to it. And there you go. I mean, I think that's pretty decent. And that's all you can ask for these guys is a pretty decent thing. Let's take a shot of the two, and then we'll see what you guys think. And there you go. I mean, just a real simple job. That's all you're looking to do. Keep it simple. And, you know, you don't have to go crazy. But I think they look pretty decent. And then when you see the rest of them all on the battlefield, I think they'll really shine for you. And it's just such a simple, easy way to do things. The white's a little tough for the knights, but hey, you can get through it. Hey, without further ado, I hope you guys enjoyed this. And what we're going to do is we're going to send this up top and get on out of here. See what I did? I took some shortcuts there. And basically, you know, everything, getting your base coats and then darkening everything up, lightening up some of the things. Because you have so many of them, you want them to stand out. You want to be liberal with your washes and get the detail that you want to get out. It's not like the greatest paint job in the world, but it's good enough to put on the board, and that's all I was trying to get across, is a good enough copy to get you on the board and get you playing, and that's the most important thing. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something. You can paint anything. White is really hard, like I told you, but you could see why we did that, so we can kind of bring everything out and really make things shine. All right, until next time, when we'll do the next faction, probably next week sometime, you'll see those, and we'll go through and we'll get the whole series. We'll even do the chaos and what's the other box here? The order and chaos box. So we'll do both of them. So we'll just, you know, we'll have an additional painting video. Why not, right? Each week. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope you get something out of it, most of all. And as always, tomorrows are never guaranteed. And being nice to somebody, because not only will it make them feel good, it make you feel good as well. And until next time, it's your old pal Rob. We'll see you soon.